Hello and welcome to Penelope's Pocket. I don't need to say which episode or what the date is because I will have already put that in my new introduction. And I would like to start off by saying thank you so much for so many lovely comments on the last episode, which was my anniversary episode, and how many of you said that you liked the new introduction, which was nice because I thought maybe it was a bit weird, but weird is good apparently with us Flosstubers. So thank you very much for encouraging me that it was okay. And thank you for commenting full stop. I had lots of comments, I suppose unsurprisingly because there was a giveaway. But some people, Deborah, if you're watching me today, you spring to mind, have been watching me for a long time but never left a comment before. And I want to encourage you to engage and make comments. I know it's not for everybody, but a lot of people watch me, and it's that figure that says how many people have watched is sort of like a bit unreal. I can't believe that many people really watch, and it's really nice that you reach out and make contact, and I'm not just talking to a reflection of myself in a camera. I don't know how else to put that. I never used to comment. I watched Flosstube and YouTube for years and never left a comment, so I understand completely. But now sat this side of the camera, I don't know, it's just really nice when you leave a comment. So thank you for everyone who commented. I think I have drawn a winner. I'll announce that a bit later on, make you watch me for a bit longer. And I think there were 54 people that used the keyword. But I had a lot more comments than that, so obviously some of you just commented because you felt like commenting, which was lovely. And so to encourage you to keep going on that, I thought I'd do some sort of poll this time to encourage you to leave a comment. I'd like you to tell me what you're doing as you watch me. It could just short and sweet, but I'm always joking about people doing the ironing, but I'm sure that there are a lot of things going on out there. It would be fun. It'll be fun for you to make contact and tell me what you do. I'm sure there's lots of knitting and stitching and crocheting and embroidery and, I don't know, housework maybe, cooking, whatever you're doing. It would be lovely if you left a comment. And for the next episode, I'll work out what the most popular activity is that I chat along and keep you company doing. So thank you for that. Shall we move on? Yes. What have I been up to? I've been quite busy actually. It's been 3 weeks. I've been a lot more active in my life than usual because I've been feeling pretty good. Actually not feeling pretty good today because I am on day 14 of my 2 weeks on chemotherapy for the AML, and it builds up, and I have had a busy week. So I was chatting to a friend who's a GP, and she was saying to me that my stamina will build up, so I will not feel as tired when I'm on it. The more I do, the better, you know, just keep going. But what I'm going to have to be careful of is my immune system. So I went for a blood test yesterday to see where my immune system's at this stage of the chemotherapy. Because I am contemplating going back to work in September, and for those of you that know, I work in a primary school, and yeah, I need a strong immune system, or a relatively good immune system, if that's what I'm going to go back to. Yeah, I can't be floored like I was at Christmas from catching something. So over the next few months, I really want to monitor where my immune system is while I take the medication, which will form my opinion as to whether to go back or not. So I have been to see the Marie Antoinette exhibition at the V&A this week with Penelope. It was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm going to insert some photographs here so that if you didn't get a chance to go, because I think it's finishing today or tomorrow, this will give you a taste of what it was like. Basically, there was obviously very little there that actually belonged to Marie Antoinette. The shots of shoes that you see, old shoes, they were actually belonging to her. They were her shoes that she wore. They're included in the photos just coming up. There was some Sèvres porcelain from the Petit Trianon, which obviously was hers. There was a chair. I don't think I took a photograph of that. There weren't actually any of her clothes, but the V&A has a remarkable fashion costume department, and so they curated the exhibition using dresses, things that they had. So it was very informative. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I particularly like the diamonds that you'll see. That's quite a well-known piece. It never actually belonged to her, but the story behind it, I'm not going to go into that now, really was the beginning, I think, of the downfall of the royal family in France, because it became a court case, but she never, it ruined her reputation, but she never actually owned it, never even wanted it, and it was broken up. The first picture is of a replica of the actual necklace in question. It was part of a swindle, basically, and so it left the country. It was stolen, it left the country and was broken up, and the little video clip is of the actual diamonds themselves, remade for the Duchess of Sutherland into a collection of pieces. So that was stunning to see. And the last bit is how how that fashion of that time has influenced even modern designers. So the ones that I could remember, I've tried to put their names on pieces. There's one picture of a Art Deco print of a crinolineed lady, and I'm very aware of that style. It was a popular embroidery style as well, wasn't it, in the Art Deco period, those multicoloured crinolined ladies. But in my head, I'd never made the connection with Marie Antoinette and that before, so that was quite interesting. That was something new to learn. Yeah, so I'll leave you with that now. Right, so you've seen that, because my editing skills are getting good, so I hopefully have managed to insert that. This week I've also been to Wisley, which is the Royal Horticultural Society main garden, I suppose. They have gardens all over England, but it's sort of the main one. I went with a friend. I haven't been for many years. I used to be a member myself because I live really close to Hampton Court Palace, and years ago, if you were a member, you could get members only day tickets, which were a bit quieter, and you could get a slightly cheaper ticket if you were a member. You also got a monthly, I think it was monthly, horticultural magazine, and it's where most of my gardening knowledge comes from, in fact, because I belonged for quite a few years, and I used to read the magazine. It was very informative, really good. And it gets you free entry into their gardens and some of their partner gardens as well. And when the girls were little, we would go to Wisley quite often for a run around because it's not far from here. So I went there with a friend who is still a member. You can take in a guest. And I barely recognised it because I haven't been for quite a while, and they've done so much work. The most jaw-dropping of which was a huge avenue of cherry blossom trees, both leading up to the entrance, and then once you go in, actually the entrance was in a completely different place to where it used to be back in the day when I went. And so I've done a little montage of that as well. It was a beautiful day. Oh, and I love alpines, and the alpine house was looking pretty good. So there's quite a few pictures of the alpine house. I hope you enjoy seeing what I've been up to. Put that in here. Right, so that's more or less what I've been up to. I have met up with a couple of friends. I've met a fellow Flosstuber in real life, which was really nice. I'm sure you hear more about that because we're going to do something together in a few weeks' time. And I've also met some old work colleagues for both for lunch and for coffee. And I've done quite a bit of gardening myself. Going to Wisley is, you think your garden is really good, and I wander around out there with a coffee thinking, oh, it's looking really good, because I've been working quite hard. I've had Steve dig up a few plants and I've divided them, moved them around. I've been out there quite a bit because the weather's been nice. And then you go to Wisley and you come home and you think, oh, maybe it's not so good after all, because it really is quite the place to go and see plants. So yeah, been really busy since I was last here. I don't have an awful lot of things to show that I've worked on because I've been busy. I have made quite a few bags, and this is going to be my quilt episode. So I've got quilts to talk about. So even though I've not done very much, I still think it might be quite long because I'm looking here at a pile of 4 really big quilts that have been made the Sarah way. So I will talk about how I've done those when we get to that bit at the end. Right, the quilt episode. What am I wearing? Well, I had to wear my camphor jacket, didn't I? Because it's a quilt, basically. A quilt. Quilting is the process of stitching together layers of fabric. So however many layers. In the case of a quilt for the bed that I've made, it's got a bottom, it's got a top, and then it's got some sort of wadding inside. And the process of doing a running stitching is quilting. That is what quilting is. Quilt has become a name for something that you throw over your bed, but it won't necessarily be a quilted quilt if it's not being sewn together like that. In fact, I'm old enough to remember when I was a child, we slept with blankets and sheets until the continental quilt, as a duvet was first called when it came to the UK, appeared here. I remember having my first continental quilt or duvet when I bet I was about 11 or 12. So yeah, that, and I suppose that is layers, isn't it? That is a quilt. A duvet is a bottom, a top, and a wadding of down or feathers, isn't it? Which is sewn together to make those pockets so it doesn't all move around. So yeah, this is the quilt episode. So I had to wear my Cantha jacket, which obviously is quilted. In this case, it is cotton sari fabric. Lots of layers, just layers of very thin muslin-y type cottons printed that are hand stitched together. Yeah, quite phenomenal really. I'm going to take it off. I'm also going to talk about the lighting, as I always do. It's very bright and sunny. I've set myself up at the back of the room, so I hope the lighting is okay. I'm going to take this off. It's very warm in here. So underneath I am wearing a good old ranunculus jumper. Now, I don't think this is one that you've seen before, although you will have seen lots of them because I make a lot of ranunculus jumpers. In fact, I feel another one might be on the way because I enjoy the process of making them from start to finish. It's a few days for me. This one is made in a hand-dyed wool from, used to be called the Little Grey Sheep Company, and I don't think it's called that anymore, but it's based in Hampshire. It's not called, I think it's actually called Hampshire 4-ply. So it's hand dyed, and it's from sheep on the farm there. And I have been there a few times. So I've seen the little flock of sheep, I've seen the shepherdess, and seen the dyeing process, and met the lady who runs it. Yeah, it's nice. 2 hanks that cost, I don't know, how much does it cost? It's about £14 for a hank. Make one of these jumpers, and I find them really useful this time of year, really wearable. So that's what I'm wearing. Drinking, I think you've seen Robert Kingston ceramics here before. This is one of the beakers. I've got a couple of these. I don't know if you've seen this one before. Love these sort of handmade things, and it's just water because I'm suffering the effects of my chemotherapy tablet, and water is about all I can drink at the moment, or take if any. Anyway, it'll all come back. So that's that. And I think good old runny nose time. Sorry. And my book. Right, what have I been buying? Switched up the well, I always do it differently, but it's what have I been buying. So we're going to have some old stuff. We haven't had any old stuff for a while, but I have been buying some old stuff, so I thought I'd show it. One of the bits of old stuff is sewing related, the others are not, but I just like sharing things. So I bought recently, because I've been out and about a lot, some old cream pots. Actually, my board there. So I guess, I remember my grandma telling me that I've got some old jugs of hers, and she told me that one of them, which is really big, is the one that they would take out to the gate when the milkman came, and would ladle the milk from the churn into your jug. And I think if you bought cream back in the day, a bit like milk used to be delivered in a bottle, cream would come in one of these earthenware jars. They're both Scottish, both of the ones that I've bought. This is the first one. It's in really nice condition actually, because sometimes these are just dug out of old tips, maybe cracked, broken, damaged, and I've seen them available. This one's got a maker's stamp on the bottom. It says, well, it's from Glasgow, the Port Dundas Pottery Company. I'm sure there's a Scottish way of saying that. So that's the first one, and then I bought another one. Same pottery manufacturer, also from Scotland, different size. There. And I've bought them as flower vases because in the summer I do like to pick flowers from the garden, but my garden is small. I don't have masses of flowers, so actually this one here is a really good size for those things that you just pick in the garden that you just want to put in a vase, and I thought that they would be really nice. And I showed my new floristry book last time, and a few of you commented that you watch Anna Blackthorn Cottage here on YouTube and that she had shown the book. And I will say right now, I also watch Anna. I highly recommend her YouTube channel if you are, well, it's just lovely actually. I like gardening. She is a florist herself and grows her own flowers. She's also the daughter-in-law of Kate from The Last Homely House. So the first episode that I watched probably just popped up, and I thought, I recognise this lady. Isn't she Kate's daughter-in-law? Yes, she is. I watch The Last Homely House sometimes, not all the time, but I do watch sometimes The Last Homely House. And I bought that book when I saw it in a bookshop because Anna had shown it. So yes, somebody else who, I'm so sorry, I had to check your name. Janet, you commented that you also have the floristry book because you saw it on there. And yes, I bought it, heavily influenced by Anna. And anyway, so talking of flowers, I saw these and thought they'd be really nice for those little sort of bouquet type things that you can cobble together in the garden in the summertime. So I bought those. I also bought a cow creamer. Weird but true. It wasn't very expensive. I think he was £8. He is old, not very, very old, but he's probably 1950s, I expect. I don't know, maybe 60s. I wouldn't have thought he's much older than that. I mean, technically you can pour cream out of his mouth. I don't think he ever had a lid. Sometimes they have lids. This is a copy of a Staffordshire design, Victorian, and maybe earlier. Can you get a Georgian cow creamer? Possibly, I don't know. Somebody that I follow on Instagram, Butter Wakefield, she is a garden designer, has a phenomenal garden, tiny garden in London, a real example of what you can do in a very small space, her garden, but her house is fabulous. And she quite often shows pictures of her kitchen table full of flowers, and she has quite a few of these, so I'm afraid she's influenced me. I saw this and thought, oh, that'd be great for my for a table display in my kitchen come Easter. So he won't be used, but he will be with some cross-stitch pieces and some jars of flowers on my Easter table. So I picked him up. And then one more old stuff, which is stitching related, is I found another piece of Morclin tartan Morclin ware, and I'm no expert. I have been collecting it for a while, but I hadn't seen this one before. It's really tiny. It's in pretty good condition. It's not perfect, but it's in pretty good condition. It is, what's the tartan? Prince Charlie tartan. I think I've got a few things in that tartan. It's got nice gilding round the base here, and some sort of bone thing at the top, because it's a cotton reel holder. I haven't had it very long. I need to go through my old cotton reels to see if I've got one that's tiny enough to go in there, because your cotton reel would sit in there, your thread would come out through the hole, and then yeah, you'd pull it and away you'd go with your sewing. I feel like it would have been a very usable thing, actually. I've been doing a bit of quilting, funnily enough, recently, and my quilting thread won't fit in here, but I thought how useful it would be, because you're continually, you know, reaching for more thread. So that was another old stuff buy. And then on the cross stitching front, I've got my Nashville haul arrived from Sue at Peakside Needleworks. I don't know if you remember last time I showed some threads. Seem to have picked up some fluff that I had bought, and I said I wondered if you could guess which chart I'd bought because of this. Actually, these are the threads for two of the ones that I'm about to show you, and the first one is Spring Rain by Teresa Kogut. There's quite a lot of shine on there. So those, the yellows that you can see in there, are for his jacket and his umbrella. I think there are. This is how shiny the pattern is. It's not inside anything, actually. It's just a very glossy pattern. I have a piece of Grandpa's sleeve, which is what it's stitched on. I have a piece from a long time ago, and it's far more pattern than that, but I would like to use it for this. I've got it to one side because it's also used for another Teresa Kogut Nashville release from a couple of years ago. My piece isn't very big, but I'd like to be able to get both this and, is it called Where There Are Birds? It's a big black bird. I've seen a few people stitching it. I'd like to get both pieces onto my piece of linen, so I need to do some working out. This isn't very big. It's 75 by 104. The other piece is much bigger, so I need to do some working out. Sorry about the glare on that. So that was one. I also bought, again, sorry, very glossy pattern. I bought Midnight Santa. Now, I did do the Jingle Ball, but I didn't buy this. I bought some other Teresa Kogut things which I've shared in the past, but I didn't buy this, but I've seen people working on this and it is lovely. I'm not sure that I will stitch it as a stocking because it's big. You know, I've got too many projects, too little time, but I love him, and I might stitch him and move some of the other motifs around him, and not. I've got a piece of weathered linen from Nicola, number 12 Stitch Co, which I think might work, and I'm thinking that I might just adapt the pattern a bit, because I don't think I've got that enormous stocking in me. I mean, most of the stitching is in him anyway, but that's what I might do. So I bought that one. And I bought another one. I seem to be all Teresa Kogut at the moment. Now this one is in plastic, and this is Anne with an E. I still love Anne of Green Gables. Probably one of my very favourite books at a certain age when I was growing up. I mean, there are other favourite books. It covers many years, isn't it, growing up? But I loved Anne of Green Gables. And so when I saw this, I couldn't resist it. I'm not sure that I will stitch the words. I might make her as a stand-up, you know. Yeah, really liked her. So that I bought. And one more, one of my other favourite designers, Needlework Press. I couldn't resist that. I don't think I have a pocket watch anywhere. I might ask my mum, Steve's mum, if anybody's got a pocket watch in the family, because they're not really used anymore, are they? But wouldn't that be nice? So yes, I bought that from Needlework Press. So those were my Nashville buys, four irresistible ones. One more thing. This is a buy that I should have shown last time and I forgot it. I'd left it upstairs, but it's more appropriate this time. A friend shared this with me. I have, we get together for stitchy chats, and she'd shown me this book and I thought, oh, I'll see if I can get a copy of that. And I googled it and it was very easily available at not very much money. So I bought this book on how to hand quilt in just one day. And I have flicked through it a bit and it is interesting. But when I show you my quilts, I have done quite a lot of quilting actually, and it was only when I've got them together that I thought actually I have done all these things without sort of realising it. But there you go. But it is interesting, and I have been enjoying reading the odd bit in it. So that's what I've been spending my money on. That and going out and about and coffee and cake. Right, what's next? Oh, what's in the bag? Yeah, come on, Sarah, let's get on with it. What have I been doing? Well, I'll tell you what's not in the bag. There is no knitting in the bag at all. I haven't picked up my knitting needles since I last saw you. That's probably because, well, I know why it is. The piece that I'm working on, which I showed last time, is very red and fluffy. And so sometimes I just don't want to be covered in red fluff because of, you know, what I'm wearing or where I'm going or whatever. I have been busier and the weather's been gorgeous, so I've missed the boat for finishing that very warm fluffy cardigan. Yes, I will be able to wear it in the autumn, but I'm not going to be wearing it now, which is why a ranunculus is calling me, because these are perfect for this time of year. So no knitting. But here is the bag, and I will show you everything that my needle has touched in the last 3 weeks. Now, I will say my needle has touched because I'm going to pull out Mary Jennings first of all, because it's shameful how little my needle has touched poor old Mary. So this is something that I do with my friend Sylvia on a Monday, Mondays with Mary. And I have discovered that Mondays are busy days, or days when I don't seem to get much stitching done. So this is Mary. And since you last saw her, I think I have managed to put in this flower motif here, which is unfinished. Is it unfinished? Oh no, maybe I did actually finish it. This bit here, and there are 2 birds here, and yes, they are supposed to be offset like that. Well, they're probably not supposed to be offset like that, but that is not my error, that is Mary's. So that is where I am, and it's very, very limited progress, but you know, my hair's not great, but it is hair. My progress isn't great, but it is progress. So it might have just been 1 or 2 threads, maybe 3 threads since I last saw you, but there she is, Mary. Actually, I should show you the pattern just in case you don't know her. Oh, sorry for the glare. So I'm working on this bottom bit down here still. So that's Mary. Actually, I'm going to put it back in the bag this time because I'll try and keep everything tidy today. My book of days is in the bag. I don't very often show my book of days, but I have March. I have stitched every day in March. And I've got some stickers on there. And I've put a circular motif around this area here because this area here is my birthday. And I mention that because there are 2 possible starts in here. So I haven't, these are plans. Actually, we switched from very minimal stitching to plans. It's a big birthday, and there is a time when you would think, oh, I don't want to be that old. How is that possible? Now I'm just grateful to get there for obvious reasons. So I just thought, I have no right starting anything else, but I just thought I think I will start something, but I don't want to go out and buy something new. I've got lots. I've got something here which has been kitted up for a long time that you would have seen in the whip parade that wasn't really a whip parade. I've got Sarah Stewart Hardman by Needlework Press, aged 7. So I might start that next week. I've got all the threads for that and have had them for years, and a piece of fabric in there as well. Or in this bag where I keep things that my lovely friend Tricia gave me, sent for me when I was in hospital and I haven't started. She sent me from the attic, because I don't think you can buy this very easily. She sent me Anathies, 1859. It is Permin of Copenhagen. I know you can buy it as a kit, but this is just the pattern. It's stitched in DMC, so I've probably got them, haven't I? And Tricia, lovely Tricia, also sent me a piece of fabric. Oh, nice modelling. This is Thornfield by Needle and Flax. So I would stitch it on here, as this is the piece that Tricia sent me. So at the moment, although I've had Sarah Stewart Hardman kitted up for years, I'm thinking I might start Anathies because it's relatively small, simple, easy, famous last words, stitching, and more likely to be a finish. So join me again next time to see which one I decide on. Right, back to what I've actually been stitching. I said that I had 3 samplers for the first 3 months of this year that I was going to work on. The first one was my New Year's Day start, which is sometimes I think there should be tumbleweed blowing across the bottom here. Well, it's a fox and rabbit design. Can't remember who it is. Margaret Atwood. No, she's a writer. Margaret Liggett-Wood. That was January. February, which was obviously a bit of a short month, I concentrated on Parrot, Leopard, Lion and did quite a bit on that. And so for this month I have been working on Martha Pudsey, which was my birthday start for last year, so it seemed appropriate that I work on her this year. And although I haven't had much stitching time, I have made nice progress on this, and I absolutely love this sampler. So here she is. So when I started her last year, I put in the border. I got all of the border, this brilliant border stitched. A quite unique, brilliant border. And I had got up to the second line of the striped grass. Can you see there are four lines of striping in the grass? I'd done up to the second line and I had the sheep in. So since I've picked it up this month, I have finished the bottom grass and started getting some of the motifs in, and come quite a way up the side over there. Got a deer in. Everything's so weird. You know, the tree, what an unusual tree. What a weird deer, stag. Yeah, absolutely love it. And stitching this in the called for NPIs. Are they the called for? Hold on a minute and I will just check. Yes, DMC or NPIs. So if you're not familiar with her as a sampler, and I'm sure most of you are because she is very well known. Where's a picture of her? Here. So that's what she's going to look like. I've said many times, I love an Adam and Eve. They are lovely, quirky Adam and Eves with their checkerboard pants. See the tree on this side, look, it's stripy. It's the same shape, but stripy. So I've come up here, just started on that basket, but also putting in some stitches along the bottom. So that's what I've been doing. That's been my main stitching. Yeah, and I do really like it. Yeah, I don't have a place in mind where she's going to hang like I do for some of the things that I make. So, but that one. And I had a new start in my spring stitching bag that I showed last time. There were two things in here, and I did decide to start the Brenda Gervais Tulip Festival, I think it's called, and I've made a pretty good start on this because I'd like to get this finished for Easter, which is just a couple of weeks away, isn't it? So it's possible. There's a lot of stitching in that bunny. This piece of linen was a gift from my friend Jane, and the bit that's missing was used for She's Clothed in Strength and Dignity, which I stitched last year. It's a bit sort of grungy, which I obviously really like, but it has a pinky tinge, a pinky mauvey hue to it, and the grungy bits make it sort of slightly darker browny grey, like a mousy browny grey. So I thought it was a really nice colour for her. Here she is. Well, this is what she'll look like when she's finished. So this is, obviously, quite a lot of stitching to go in here, but I've nearly finished doing the tulips. And in my mind, this probably won't happen, but I did think it would be really nice to finish her as a cushion, a little cushion, and then take some of these motifs and make smaller cushions that I could display with her. For instance, this bit here, there's going to be a flower head here. I think there is there? Yes. So I thought actually you could make a square little cushion that size, a little pin cushion that size, or you could even make a small singular one that you could display together. Have like a little collection and just take out these tulip motifs. Quite like that idea, and use, obviously this matching fabric and make like a little set. And then when I had that idea for this one, that also crossed my mind for, what is he called? Not Smoky Santa. What's he called? You're all shouting at the screen, I'm sure. Midnight Santa. I could do the Father Christmas, and then I could do some of those other little motifs that would be companion pieces to sit with him. So rather than jiggle around the chart, actually just do them as separate elements that could be a little collection in a bowl. That's what I've been thinking anyway. And that was my idea with this, because that would make a, yeah, you see, that would make a square one, and then maybe an individual tiny one. Anyway, plans are one thing, having the time to see these things through are another. But I think this is, I haven't worked on this for a little while, and I think this is the thing that I will pick up this evening when I've cleared up, edited and done everything else that gets done for Flosstube. That will be the thing that I get back to, because I'd like to have that done for Easter. What else is in here to show? Oh, this is the last thing. So this is my stitch. I did write down the proper word for it. What's it called? Maybe I didn't write it down. My stitched quilt that Ros Clark Crafts is designing charts for. So I showed this bag last time because in this bag I've got scraps of linen and of different colours and sizes and counts, and threads that I thought might be suitable. And so in here this time I've just got one finished bit of stitching, and that is E is for Earth. I really like this one. Ros, you've been really clever to get a whole globe, a whole Earth, in such a small stitch count, and I think it looks really good. So that is E is for Earth. And I'll talk a bit more about the stitch quilt. Can I talk about it now? Why not? I'll talk about it now. So that's E is for Earth. And that is everything that I've been working on since I last saw you. That's everything that I've gone through in the bag. So I'll move the bag to this side because that's done. Well, it's not everything that I've been working on, because I've also been working on my stitch quilt. Now Rebecca, I don't think I've mentioned Rebecca before. Rebecca is Hedgerow Stitching. I'm sure lots of you watch her. I love watching Rebecca. She's a knitter. She is a well, she's a collector of samplers, very knowledgeable. She sells reproduction charts of her collection that she's reproduced, and she's a great quilter as well. And she's had a bit of a break. I've watched her since the beginning, I think, since she started doing things, because I love that knitting element of her channel. And she's had some time off, but she's back, which is lovely. And so I've been watching her again, and she's a great quilter, a proper quilter, not like me. But she had used a Sussex trug in one of her episodes, a bigger one than this, I think, for, I can't remember what you had in it, Rebecca. I don't know if it was quilting stuff or not. And I remember at the time thinking, gosh, I've got one of those somewhere. Is it out there in the shed? So this is a bit of it's another section we haven't had for a while, a garage find, because as you know, we are having our garages rebuilt, and it involved emptying them, and the shed, I had a very big shed out there, was all part of that garage building. And so I found this. I've had it. It was a gift from a friend before we lived here, so more than 20 years ago. It's got a lot of woodworm holes, I noticed. I gave it a really, really good clean, and I brought it in. I was going to oil it because I gave it such a good clean and scrub. It feels a bit dry, but I haven't oiled it because I'm using it for fabrics. I didn't want to damage the fabrics. But if you're not familiar, this is a Sussex trug, so particular to the county of Sussex in the UK, and a very particular construction. They're all made like this, with bent strips of wood. I'm sure it's probably a particular type of wood that grows in Sussex, and this is a tiny one. They're specifically for gardening, and so you would have this outside and you would be deadheading and putting them in here, or collecting flowers and putting them in here, or vegetables and putting them in here and bringing them inside. And now I've got plastic tubs out there. That's really bad, isn't it? How much more environmentally friendly and beautiful is a Sussex trug, really? But anyway, I'm now using it inside. So this is my stitch quilt project, which I will talk about now. I've got an old pincushion, old stuff. I would imagine it's from the 1950s. It's a bit like a mattress. It's real man-made, almost plasticky type fabric, but it's got that 1950s vibe going on. Somebody has hand stitched it beautifully and turned it into a bit of a mattress. But I find this useful because it sits flat on my knee as I'm stitching the hexies. Right, so I tried to explain before, didn't I, how it works, and I didn't have these with me before, and this is the integral part of how it works, the way that Ros is doing it. These are pre-cut hexiform hexagons, which are 2-inch ones from a company called Ashmead Designs. I found it very easy. I just googled what Ros had said and I found them very easily and I bought them. And this is a pack of 60 pre-cut ones. There's a part of me that would have much preferred to have used an interior that wasn't man-made. I would imagine these are some sort of man-made fibre, but I am aware that accuracy is key with things like this. And anyway, this is the only thing that I've bought for this project. Everything else is scrap. So that's the hexie. Here is D is for dandelion. Now D is for dandelion. I love it, but it hasn't really worked because I think that this must be 32 count. So it's a bit tight, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, it is exactly the size of the hexagon. So it fits, but you'll see in a minute I'm going to lose, perhaps not at the bottom here, but at the top I'm going to lose some of this. So a part of me is thinking that I might re-stitch the seed heads on the binding so it looks like they've blown off onto the binding. That's what I think I'm going to do, because I don't really want to have to re-stitch it, and I did really like it on this colour. So what you do, and I don't think I've got one half done here to show you, but well, let me show you the ones that I've done and then I can talk about how to do it in a second. So I've done A is for apple, and here it is. So this is A is for apple. Are you getting the idea of what's going on? These are all, that is a scrap of Picture This Plus. This could be Wren, something, I don't know, but it's scrap. I thought that was 36 count actually, but Picture This Plus is tight, isn't it? So yeah, that's, oh no, I think that's 32 count, yeah. So that's A is for apple, and I've also done B, which is for B. I couldn't remember last time. I've done B is for B. Bees. You'll recognise some of these fabrics because this is from that Lavender Bees bag that I did. How appropriate. What I decided was I would think of them as flowers so that these are petals coming out. So if it's directional, it will be coming out of the writing, although the writing itself obviously is now upside down, but that's how I decided was best to do it. And then that's the back of that one, so hence the bees are flying out each way. So when you've done your piece of stitching, I need to trim this so it fits onto this hexagon, and it's quite clingy, the hexagon, so it tends to just sort of sit there once you've trimmed it. And then you need a backing fabric, and so the backing fabric, and I think I chose the backing fabric for this is going to be this. You cut, or I cut the backing fabric, and I've been doing it in inches, so a ½ an inch and then an extra eighth, whatever that is, around, so it's bigger all the way around. And then you sandwich them, so you've got this bit facing you, and then your backing you fold once, and then that's around the wrong way, isn't it? But there you go. Then you fold it twice, and then that becomes your edging. So can you see? I'm pretty certain I'm going to lose some of that, but I thought I could stitch them onto here. We'll see. Let's see if it works out or not. Now, in Roz's tutorial, or if Roz might not like me calling it a tutorial, but when she shows how she puts them together, she does a slip stitch around here, being very careful not to go through onto the back. But it occurred to me that actually killing two birds with one stone, I could do a running stitch around, because I don't need for it to be invisible, and then it becomes like the quilting, then it's quilted as well, isn't it? So it's both quilted and secured at the same time. And my intention at first was, you know, this fabric would be backed in the same fabric to create a whole hexagon in this design. Literally, as I was piecing it together, I thought, oh, supposing I switch them around, I don't know, does it make it too busy? Or if it makes it too busy, it's too late because I've done it now. So that yeah, each flower will have excuse me, 4 fabrics in it, one for the center, and then 3 different fabrics around the outside. So this one has got the lavender honey. This is a one from a long time ago. Actually, I've got the bag here. Anyway, and then this one. And I thought it was, because they're very floral-like, I thought it was important that the centre one was different from the others, so that it didn't just become a mush of just all the same. So for instance on that one there, I just did it plain. Ooh, upside down. So it was only as I was piecing it together that I thought, well, hold on a minute, because they're not going to line up. Ooh, upside down. Are they? And I thought, I was still upside down, Sarah, looking at it. Where is it? Like that, sorry. So then it occurred to me, what you really need is a plain ring around each one, which would really set them off as individual flowers, so that you can line them up. But it'd be massive, won't it? It'll be absolutely huge. which is crazy because I'm going to show you some quilts that I don't know how I'm going to show you because they're so huge. So that might be a bit insane. So I might end up offsetting them like so, like so. Anyway, there we go. We'll see. So I've done A, B. For some reason I haven't done C. C is for colours. D is for dandelion. E is for earth. F is for fish, which is a really super cute one. I haven't done that yet. And G is for garden. The next one will be out Sunday, I think. Ros puts them up. These are the fabrics that I have chosen. That one there for the centre flower because it's quite dark. And then these ones here for around the outside of the D is for dandelion. This one. This is from one of those, I did a Liberty Big Liberty bag update. That's one of those. That's a blouse that I made once. That's from some froggy bags that I made a long time ago. So I've got a yellow thing going on here. So I think that's going to be D is for dandelion, and I'm going to have to fiddle around with that one a bit. And the whole thing is completely sewn by hand, complete hand sewing. So I bought a selection of Gutermann quilting threads. When I talk about the quilts that I've made in the past, I didn't know quilting thread existed at first, but this is the one that I now always use. I really have only learned through perhaps watching you, Rebecca, that there are different types of quilting threads. I've only ever used Gutermann quilting thread, and I ordered some in a variety of softish colours. So I've got a pinky shade, a greeny shade, a brown, a cream, and I've got a blue. That must be upstairs, a soft blue colour. And I'm just picking them. This one I did in the pinky shade, and this one in the brownie shade. And I'll just pick, yeah, but it's not really very obvious. But there we go. So this is the stitch, and it's finished look, isn't it? So I think the idea is that when you're a quilter, sometimes you're making your blocks, but that's only stage one, isn't it? Then you have to you know, compile the quilt itself, and then you have to quilt it, and then you have to put edging on it. But this is finished. It's a finished thing, isn't it? It could be a placemat. So been quite enjoying that. A bit of quilting. There. Oh, T is for dandelion. Okay, so I think the next thing is what bags are coming. Yes, what bags are coming? So I have been quite busy. I've made quite a lot. I've upped my game and started making more of each design. I've been ordering bigger bits of fabrics so that I've got more to be able to sell, because doing this has really grown Penelope's pocket as a little bag making business. So I've got to, I haven't got, there will be some still when I've used old fabrics. I was buying smaller quantities of fabric, but I am now beginning to buy big quantities of fabric because the website is looking really empty. I don't think at this precise moment I have any Gertrude bags at all. I will rectify that for next time. I haven't rectified it this time. I thought I might, but I haven't. And I do actually have some really nice fabric for some, Gertrude is a big one for storing all the bags in. So there'll be more of those next time. There aren't any of those this time, but I have some good ones. Right. Okay. So first up is an old piece of fabric, but I have got quite a few of these, and it is peacocks, and it matches a Gertrude bag that I've made several top-ups of over a period of time. I don't think, well, I don't think I can get this anymore. I certainly can't get the canvas weight anymore for the Gertrude bags. The canvas white weight is much bigger print, but the colours are the same, so this matches it perfectly. I picked out green for the tassel, which I think is rather lovely. And so there's this one, and it has again a rifle. It's the Rifle Paper Company. It has a coordinating Rifle Paper Company lining, and as you can imagine, makes a fab thread keep, because I think I've got enough for everybody that ordered one to have a peacock thread keep. So that one's coming. I've made quite a few of these. I did have quite a big bit of this fabric. It's an old fabric. I've had it for a long time and I never used it because I didn't have anything to go with it. I knew it would be, well, I love it, so I knew it would be popular. Swans, it's gorgeous. Colours, gorgeous. Found that blue tassel. Oh, I think if I put green, yeah, green sparkly bit around there as well. The lining. You'll either love it or hate it. I absolutely love it. Are you ready? Oh, look at that. Yeah, I found that and I thought, oh my goodness, that, I just, look at it. Oh, gorgeous. What a moment when you open it. It just picks out, there's only a touch of green, but it just picks it out and I just love it. In fact, I love it so much, I immediately bought some more, and I've got other plans for this as a lining as well, with another fabric up there. So there are a few of these swans. As you will imagine, it makes a fab thread keep, and I have made two. I have made a signet one. Oh, super cute. It's reflecting a bit, you can't really see him, but he's a signet one, and then there's a mummy or a daddy one, a swan one. I can't say which one you'd get. I think they're both. I've made a few, and I do that one, I think, oh, he's so handsome, and then I do that one, I think, oh, so cute. So yeah, thread keeps. Then, in celebration of the glorious weather, I found this piece. I haven't got very much of this. This again is from a while ago. Oh yes, this is my daffodil one with this fab yellow tassel, and a very simple and plain, no, it's not plain, of course it's not plain, Sarah, it's you, but just a simple lining which picks out that real deep mustardy colour there. Does that pink. I haven't made a thread keep to show you. I don't know why I haven't done that, but the thread keep, because this design is far too big to create a thread keep. The thread keep, if you choose to order one, will be a piece of this. Yes, I don't like to use the word boring. But it fulfills that job of making sure that your threads go back in the right bag, because you'll know that they came from this bag because of the lining. So yeah, but I do make a certain amount of thread keeps so that I can actually post as soon as possible after you buy, but I don't make as many thread keeps as I've got bags, because not everybody wants one, and I don't want to be left with them. The same with tassels. I make a few tassels. Not everybody wants to have a tassel, so the first few that are bought, I've got them there, then I have to make them to fulfill the orders. But the bags are all, I don't sell any bags that I haven't got ready made. Now this is a surprise entry, because these are all fabrics that I've had for some time, and I was going through my fabric cupboard and I found some of this. And if you remember my Sajou episode, way back towards the, I don't know what episode number it would have been, but anyway, the French one, This is a Sajou fabric of pansies, and I had not much, but I had a bit left, and so I made a few more. There might even be a little bit more, but I didn't have any more lining, so I just, this lining, that's a Liberty print. Always thought it was really perfect with that. And I don't have any more of this lining, although I might have enough of this to make a couple more bags. I don't have any lining, so that probably will sit there until inspiration or the right lining comes along. But at the moment, on the website will be some of these with the Liberty lining. I haven't made a tassel, and I have made a thread keep though. I didn't make one of these with pansies on. There. And it is my quilting episode, and I haven't got any Caroline bags left on the website, and I thought, well, I've got to rectify that because Caroline bags are quilted, and she's my first and my favourite. As you can see, I've got mainly Caroline bags. So I can't possibly not have any for sale on the website. So I have made some Caroline bags. They're a lot more time consuming to make because they are all quilted and because I stitch them all by hand. Put the binding on and slip stitch it down by hand. So these were fun because there's really a grid there. So these have got triangular quilting on them because I followed the lines of the fabric, which I think looks quite William Morris-like. But it's actually Liberty print. Liberty print. Navy blue tassel, which is super smart, with the gold that picks out the yellow. And I picked that yellow flower to make a thread keep because I thought it was just glowing beautifully. So there's a Caroline bag in stock, and I definitely going to have to make some more Carolines for the next update because I can't have an empty Caroline website, a website empty of Carolines. So for the same reason, I think there's one Isabel bag left, and I thought I really need to make another Isabel bag because they're made from quilts. So this is all of the Isabel bags are complete one-offs because of the nature of what they are. This one even more so than usual because it's a big one. So I used some of this really lovely, soft, coloured, gentle or camely, pinky mauvey, almost like a honeycomb design on both sides. Has a fab patch. This is an original patch that's been stitched on. It just, and all this, look at that hand stitching. I cannot, you know, these are just fantastic. I hope I do them justice, really. It was in a bit of a bad way, this quilt. It was really, really big, but very, very worn in places. I'm going to have to wipe my nose. Sorry. Yes. This piece made a big bag. So if you can see these casings, I always use this dark brown and white polka dot material for casings, and I already had these ones made, so I thought I'd just put those on the bag. So you can see how much bigger it is than usual because normally these fill the top part of the bag, so it's a good couple of inches bigger this way, and it's also bigger that way. It's deeper. I'm pretty certain it's bigger that way as well. And the lining, such a lovely lining. It has golden bees on a very, very soft pink checkerboard background. Now there will be probably more bags to be made out of this quilt, but I don't know if they'll be this big size. Still does that beautifully. good. I think a lot of people, actually, having spoken to some people, they just use them and fold the top over for their projects. But so there's one of those, and for the same reason, because it's the quilting episode, and I think I said last time it's been really nice that the new Mary bag has been popular. I made a Mary bag. Oh, love this fabric. It's so gorgeous, so bright. So Mary, this is the normal size. You can see the casings at the top, they're the same size as the bag, more or less. Mary has a ribbon on the side with a I don't know what it's called actually, like a split ring thing, so that you could put stitch markers or anything you want to dangle on there, safety pins or whatever. And that same lining, that same nice lining, so you could potentially have a matching pair. And she's quilted, so actually, you know, will stand up, is quite firm, whereas this one has a lovely, I mean it's vintage, so it's very old, has a, you know, you can see it flopping right down. It's really floppy, yeah, different beasts. There we go. Right, so they're all up on the website now. As this goes out, I update the website at the same time. So while we're talking about bags, I have the anniversary winner. The winner of the now, Jean, you told me it was a friend of yours that had designed the fabric, and I meant to double check actually, because where are we? Where are you, Jean? I wrote it down. I don't want to get it wrong. I didn't write it down. Jean, who is a lovely friend who lives in Australia, tells me that this has been designed by a friend of hers called Bridget. Now, was it Gilpin or Giblin? I can't remember. Maybe I'll put it across here if I manage to find out. It's from a while ago. But anyway, that's the designer of the fabric. So thank you, Jean, for letting me know that. Yeah. And the winner is Roseanne Siskonen 5871. Roseanne Siskonen 5871. Can you see that? Now, Roseanne, I know that you have been watching me probably since the beginning, and I do know that you have been through a big life-changing event in your life recently, and have got back to stitching, or have done embroidery. You're an embroiderer and got back to cross stitching, or anyway, we have had a little chat through the comments in the past, I seem to remember, and so really pleased to be sending you this. I think you're in America, but what you need to do is to contact me, Sarah at penelopespocket.co.uk. That's Sarah with an H at penelopespocket.co.uk. Or if you in fact go to the website, I think there's an inquiries thing, which might be inquiries at penelopespocket.co. Contact me through that and let me know your address. Like I say, I'm pretty certain you're in America, and I'll get it sent out to you with a pair of scissors too. So congratulations, Roseanne. I am very happy to be sending that to you. Right, shall we get to the main event, the quilts? Now, where to start? Should we start with what's hanging behind me? So behind me is a garage find. Yeah, another garage find. That is a quilt. It's actually a bedspread, an old-fashioned bedspread, but it's quilted. And it belonged to Steve's grandmother. I should say they, because I have more than one of them. When she went into a home and her house had to be cleared, I mean, nobody was interested in that, all those things. they're a couple. I don't know what was going to happen to them because I wanted them, so I had them. And for a while they were on my girls' beds. They're single beds, but they're quite big. I think they were 3-foot beds, so bigger than a normal single. And they're that real old-fashioned one where they're all, I don't know how well, you probably can't see, it could fall off, ever so heavy, frilled, went right up over the pillow, tucked underneath the pillow and over the top of the pillow to create a real, there's a lot of fabric in them. But the quilting is gilt thread. It's obviously been machine quilted, but must have been with guidance, because around the flowers, the gilding goes around the flowers. This is sort of like an overall wiggle, but around the flowers they're actually outlined with the quilting. So it must have been somebody seeing it through. Really looked close. Sorry, I had to do a bit of editing has had to happen there because it slipped off. I knew I shouldn't have touched it because it's incredibly heavy, and it just slipped off of where I secured it at the top. It's heavy because it's furnishing fabric. It has some sort of wadding which has been quilted. It's very puffy, and then it's got a lining which has all been stitched. The whole thing appears to have been, apart from the quilting, appears to have been put together by hand. You know, all the lining is all slip stitched around by hand. Anyway, there were 2 of them. I had both of them, and for a while they were actually on my daughter's beds, and they were used by them. Then I made them quilts, and they ended up in the garage. I am contemplating taking them apart and making bags out of them. I don't see them being used as bedspreads anymore. Yeah, it's something that I've been thinking about since I came across them, and if I think about it long enough I will make the right decision. There's no point just jumping in and taking them apart. They probably need a good wash somehow. Like I say, I think they probably date, well, I might not have said, but I think they date to the 50s probably. Yeah, don't know what sort of, they might be difficult to sew into bags because they are heavy, big, heavy, but they could be quite incredible Gertrude bags. I could make one for each of the girls so they have that memory of the bedspread. And yeah, anyway, thinking about it, and I thought I'd just stick it up there as a backdrop. So quilts. Somebody left a message, Janet, who we spoke about before because of the floristry book. She told me that she'd been listening to a podcast called Ologies on quilting. If I just say that here, the Ologies, OLOGIES podcast on quilting. And I listened to it and it was super interesting. Thank you so much for recommending it. And it really clarified for me why quilting, as I see it now on other Flosstubers and things, has never featured in my life before. And the reason for that is it is uniquely American. So that is why there is no... The quilting that I'm talking about is when you make blocks, when you actually have a design and have certain shapes that you cut out and you piece together in a set way into a block that you then, yeah, all that is explained really, really well in that Ologies podcast as to how that came about uniquely in America. That is not something that I have grown up with here. Here, if I, before the internet opened up the world, if I thought about a quilt, it would always be a patchwork quilt, meaning piecing together scraps of fabric for using up scraps of fabric. So you would have leftovers, as I do, and those leftovers might have been really nice, and why would you waste them, I suppose? And then you'd piece them together in either haphazard or hexagons, or probably by hand. Or yeah, that's how quilts have always appeared to me, have always been made using the idea of going out and buying fabric to make a quilt would have been odd, I suppose. I don't know. Anyway, that's how I perceive it. So patchwork quilts, or having a fabulous piece of fabric that you would want to turn into a throw of some sort, that you would then quilt a whole, do they call them whole cloth quilts, actually? I think, is that what they're called? I probably have heard Rebecca say that, because I've made one of those unknowingly as well, just because the fabric was so nice. Actually, sat here, I realise there's another one somewhere as well that I'd forgotten about. Anyway, that doesn't matter. So I'll show you the one that's normally on the back of the chair here first. So this is normally folded up on the back of this chair, and I made this a long time ago. Can't tell you when. I don't know how it's coming out. So when I worked as the assistant furniture buyer, we did quite a lot of work with furnishing fabric department and the interior design department. I think I mentioned that last time. And our offices were quite close by, and fabric sample books get updated and old ones get thrown away, but not on my watch. On my watch, I was rescuing them from the bin and taking them home. And so this is an example of a French furnishing fabric manufacturer called Lelièvre. Could be saying that wrong because it is French. The highest possible quality woven damasks, silks for furnishing fabrics. This was one of their sample books. So these fabrics are from that sample book and are either all 100% silk weaves or possibly a bit of cotton content. Like I think this one here probably has some cotton content because it's coarser, whereas yeah, that is almost certainly 100% silk, warp and weft of two different colours. Some of them absolutely stunning. Where are those very special ones? Yeah, like these ones here. These woven silks on very fine backgrounds. I mean, we're talking, these fabrics back then would have been £300 plus a metre. And it was going in, you know, they were obsolete because they changed the colourways or whatever. And so, and some of the samples were really tiny because, you know, they might have been a big piece to show what that fabric was like, and then the different colourways would have been little tiny weeny things like that. Hence some of these are small. So I just chop them up, put them together in colours. I think you can see there was some sort of thought going on to the colours there. Now the green, this was my curtain fabric. This is also a woven silk. This was my curtain fabric in our previous cottage. Yeah, and I made a pair of curtains. It was a 17th century cottage, so the windows are quite small. and so made a pair of curtains, and with the scraps I had a lampshade made, which is about somewhere, and I cut it up to make use of every single little bit. It's not looking as pristine as it should because I took this into hospital with me as a piece of home when I was an inpatient in 2024, and I chucked it in the washing machine because, well, that's where my head was at the time, and that was a mistake because silk like this doesn't like to be washed, so it all has that slightly sand washed look to it now, but it's super clean because I made this many years ago. So on the back is a piece of Tana lawn that I would have just had because, yeah, it'll have a join. Back then, is there a join? No, that's not a join. I notice now Tana lawn is it 130 centimetres wide? Well, back then it was only 90 centimetres wide. It was quite narrow fabric, so there must be a join in there somewhere. So that's that, which the quilting bit here is literally just done on those squares, which you can see. I don't know if you can see it on the back. I had no idea how a quilt was bound. So I got some Petersham ribbon and I bound it on the machine, probably. Yeah, on the machine with Petersham ribbon. You see the machining on that side and on that side, and I mited the corners as I turned. And that's how I edged it, because that's how my brain figured out how to do it. So that is small. And as I say, normally it's on the back of the chair here, but that was my start, and that was literally using up tiny bits of beautiful fabric and giving them a use when they were destined for the bin, or what would you do with little tiny bits of silk that are that big. This is another example of that, and this isn't quilted actually, this is just a patchwork cushion. Those are all French fabrics. This is an English weaving company. I think they were called, it could have been called Gainsborough Silk Weavers. That is ringing a bell. We're talking, many years ago. They're not silk. These are all cottons or wools. And again, they were samples, furnishing samples. I actually, once upon a time, I had I've got an armchair that was covered in this. It wore out because they're not hard wearing fabrics, and I've had it since recovered, but I had that actually on a chair once. But that's just a cushion that sits on the sofa over there, and it's got, actually this is Lelièvre velvet, on the back. Again, that was a scrap, not quilted, just patchworked, but again using up those samples, those small furniture samples. Now, at the time when I was working as the assistant buyer, we moved house actually, we moved to our cottage, and I got a bee in my bonnet about wanting a patchwork quilt for our bed. And I didn't know anything about them, I just wanted one, and I knew the colours that I wanted because I'd bought some really beautiful fabric for curtains in that room. So I sat at my desk at work, probably shouldn't have been doing this. I do remember doing it, and worked out that was going to be my quilt. Like I said, this is Sarah's brain. I had no idea how you made a patchwork quilt. I just thought, you're obviously going to be using different fabrics. They're going to have to work together to make a design. How is that design going to work? So I had a squared up piece of paper, and I just with a pencil, as you can see, shaded this, obviously indicating whether it was going to be a very dark, medium dark, or light fabric. So I had no prints in mind, no particular fabrics that I'd seen that I thought I'd like to use. I just knew that I needed, in the end, 8. It goes up to number 8. I needed 8 different fabrics of varying darknesses, from the darkest to the lightest, and that I would do it like this, and that they would be, I think they were 10 centimetres squared, which is about 4 inch squares. I remember cutting the template, so I knew that what size they were going to be, and I knew I needed how many I needed, so I actually worked out how big a fabric piece I'd had to buy in each of the different colours. So I counted how many dark 10 centimetre squared pieces I needed, how many I could get out, you know, with seam allowances, and worked it out. I made a template out of an old cereal packet. I remember having to make 2 templates because it wore out, or I drew around it so many times. Yeah, so that was my pattern, and here's the quilt. I think that I haven't done it now as I'm sat here, but I'm sure that I will take pictures of all of these that I will insert along this preamble, because these are massive and there's no way that I can show them properly. But this, actually, quick sip. Is my first ever quilt. So you can see the design that I've just shown you. Obviously picked this as my darkest. This one here is also quite dark. So there are 8 different Liberty print Tana lawns in here, from dark to light. Yeah, I mean, you can see there's a light cross there, but then sometimes there's a square doodah there. And it's big. It's big and it's heavy, and it's been, I don't use it anymore. It was on our bed for many years, but I had to get it out the airing cupboard, and I'm ashamed to say it's very dirty. I think it needs washing. It's never been washed. So this is it. I mean, it's huge, and it's also very heavy. I put it on the bed last night for a change, and it's much heavier than the one I use at the moment. It's a completely different feeling sleeping under it. So I suppose that's a quarter of it, isn't it? So I knew that everything had to be 10 centimetres squared. I cut them out, and then I followed that pattern to make piles of strips, which I machine sewed together. So it's machine made. So I would have started, well, I mean, it's obvious, isn't it? I would have made this strip here, picked up the different ones from my pattern, sewed them together so I had a long strip, and then I would have numbered it, and then I would have done that, and then I sewed them all together in this way. That's how I constructed it. This one is lined, the interlining on this is curtain interlining, because that was my knowledge, which is a cotton, thick, heavy, fluffy thing. After I'd finished it, a friend said to me, "Did you wash that curtain lining before you used it? Because you know it shrinks." No, I didn't, because I would never wash curtains. So I don't know how it would wash. Should I wash it? It is very grubby. I feel like I probably should wash it. So I made this because I signed all my pieces. Let me show you. Where is it signed? It's grubby. Sorry everybody, you have to see the grubbiness. Can you see? I signed it. Is it focusing? It might be focusing on me. So I signed it and I dated it. What does that say? I'm reading it in reverse. 1993 to 1998. I can tell you that I think I made it in 1993. I did make it in 1993, and we used it. Oh, I talk a bit about the quilting. So I made it all on the machine, but I quilted it by hand. Oh yeah, on the dark bit there you can see it. So it's quilted in with this amount of space in between, all over. It obviously shows more in some places than it does in others. So the whole thing, there's a lot of hand quilting in this. I didn't know that there was such a thing as quilting thread, so I used Gutermann. I probably used cotton thread, because I went through a phase of using their cotton rather than their polyester thread. So it probably is cotton, but I held it double. So that's why it looks quite thick, because I held it double. Can you imagine how much it knotted and twisted? I remember it, and that was a long time ago. And I did that all over the whole thing. I think when I first started, I thought I'd go back the other way. That would have been insane. The whole thing is quilted. The backing is this Tana lawn, which I would have had to have pieced. So the whole back, look, shall I tell you, you've probably seen there's a stain there. I know for a fact that is Calpol from when the kids were little, and I missed somebody's mouth, and it's like most hideous sticky. Sarah, shameful, telling all of you people all my secrets. Yeah, so the whole of the back is this. So it's quite nice on the bed. I used to fold it back, so you had the yellow, really pretty florally print. Now, the reason it says until 1998 is because I had no idea how to border a quilt. I had put Petersham ribbon around that one, and it's not great, is it? I didn't know how to put a border on this, and had I been somewhere? I think I'd been somewhere and I might have seen a quilt which had a scalloped edging on it. Let me turn it the other way, you might be able to see it a bit better. Can you see it's got a scalloped edge? So in 1998, I remember doing this actually standing in the garden. It must have been a lovely sunny day or something, with the ironing board. I got a dinner plate. I had quite a lot of this fabric. So the quilt had been made and had been on the bed just with no border on it for years. I got a dinner plate, which I drew around, which I used as a template, as a circle. And I made these, which would have been machined together and then turned round. I made these to make a scalloped edge, and then I really didn't know what I was doing. I think I must have, there's a line of stitching there, so I obviously stitched them round the edge and I folded it, but now I've got an unneat edge. So I can see hand stitching there. I must have stitched it down by hand, and then I went over it on the machine with a very close together zigzag to create that, because underneath here I can see my hand stitching. I must have stitched it down, but then to neaten off this raw edge, I overlocked it, well, not overlocked it, zigzagged it on the machine with a very close together thing. And so that's how I finished the edge of that one. And that was my first ever quilt. It's very heavy. Oh. Right. Could be some pictures coming in here next. So when we moved here, I wanted a different quilt because I had a new bedroom. I had a new colour scheme. That bedroom was all yellow and green. I had a new colour scheme and I wanted a new quilt. Now actually my bedroom here is, this is an old house that was redone in the early 70s. So actually our bedroom is all panelled with wood. It's well, a bit like you see behind me here, only upstairs is cherry wood, whereas this is walnut. So so my bedroom, I suppose, is brown because it is just all wood, and I wanted some colour, so I made a quilt, and I guess this is what you would call an all cloth quilt. So this is my next quilt. And I wanted a shot of colour. One side, so this is a furnishing fabric, and it is silk. So this is 100% silk quilt, completely different from that one. This one slides off the bed because it is silk, whereas that clings to the bed. So it's not so practical, but it is beautiful. So one side is this pink, and the other side, well, you can probably see, the other side is green. Again, I'll try to put in some pictures of the whole thing because it's big. So yeah, this is what you would call, so there's no patchworking in this quilt. All of one side is pink, and all of the other side is green. I gave myself housemaid's knee, whatever the medical name is for that, making this quilt, because I pieced it together. It has joins, so there's a seam here. This is a seam because the actual fabric, however wide it is, wasn't wide enough for a bed. So I think it's one width, and then I had to buy another width, and then I cut it, and it seamed here, presumably the same on the other side there, to make it the right size for the bed. And I layered it on my parents' conservatory floor and spent many hours on my knees making sure that the stripe lined up on the front to the back, because, well, I'll talk about that bit in a minute, but yeah, so for a long time I had terrible, I couldn't bend down, I couldn't kneel for a long time. It's incredibly painful, housemaid's knee. That's a weird thing to give to yourself, but that's how I did it. Or that kneeling on this on the floor. I learnt that there was proper quilting batting by the time I bought this. So I bought, I think it might be polyester, which I wouldn't go for now, but it's light. This is a much lighter quilt than that one. In one piece, because that would have had to have been pieced. This was one piece. And at the same time I learnt there was such a thing as quilting cotton. So this is actually quilted with the Gutermann quilting cotton. And I remember experimenting, did I want to quilt it in pink or green? And I tried both colours. Excuse me. And I ended up going with the pink. So you can see the quilting perhaps better on the green side because it's pink thread, but it disappears more on the pink side because it's pink thread. So it is signed and dated. So I don't know, can you see that? It's definitely there. Is it showing? I don't know if that's showing or not. Anyway, it says my name, I did my name, and then the year here, which I think is 2008. So I made this one in 2008. So because it's a stripe, I found a quilting shop, which is actually local to me. It's up at not far from Hampton Court Palace, and it's still there now. And when I was in there, I found a plastic stencil of this. It's probably got a name, hasn't it? It's like a, I don't know what it is, but I found this stencil, and I thought, oh, that gives me an idea. So I used a chalk pencil, and I stenciled on the design, and then that's, yeah, so that's the quilting. So the whole thing not every stripe, but every other stripe I hand quilted with that design. And then in the middle, can you see there? In the middle, I turned the stencil round the other way and started to go back the other way. So just that is the middle of the quilt, and it changes direction and it goes back to the other side. And ends with the point on that side, and then all the way around the edge is just I felt that gave it a border. I don't know how I worked that out. I would have just I can't remember. So that's how I worked that out. And then in the corners, obviously it goes around the corner. Okay. It's slightly more obvious on the green side. This you probably switched me off because you can't really see anything, Sarah. It's rubbish. But anyway, that's it. Hopefully I've managed to get some pictures in so you can see it. I probably take some pictures of this on the bed. Yeah, I figured out how I like to do a border, because all my quilts now are done like this. So I turned in the front and the back, and sewed them together like that. Yeah, so that's how I do them now. So I don't do a, you can see there's a double stitched bit there, so I will have just turned, yeah, and it's the same on that side, turned in, and then I can't really see, just like that. So I figured a lot of me is just figuring stuff out, and that's the solution that I came up with for how to finish my quilts. So that's the second big quilt that I made. Right. Okay. I am a great one for keeping things, and I kept quite a lot of my girls' clothes, and I think I always knew I would, and eventually I did, make them quilts out of their clothes. And so I had boxes of clothes from baby grows up to teenage wear that I had kept, and one day the time was right and I started cutting them up to turn them into quilts for the girls. It was a massive project, and there were times when it was really, really difficult to take my scissors to their precious clothes. And I will either here or later on, or somewhere around here where I think it's most appropriate, I'll take some pictures of what their quilts look like when they're out and undone, so that you can see what they're like. And I'll just show some details of them now. I had to go and pick them up from their flat yesterday because they both have them and they use them. I mean, Isabel uses hers all the time, it's always on her bed, and she tells me it's the nicest thing that I've ever made, and I've knitted them lots of things, and she said it's the best thing, the quilt. So I'll show you Isabel's first, because hers is the first one that I made, and they're big and they're incredibly heavy. Let's see if I can get it over here. Okay, so I don't want to show her name because that's her thing. So her name is there, I think. Does it say for Isabel? They're very personal things, and I put my name and the year on it. So I made this in 2014 for her. I thought I'd just, well, I don't know, show you a few. So Isabel's is very different from Penelope's. If I've put the pictures in already, you will see hers were all these. I did the same method that I had done for my very first quilt. So they are 4-inch or 10 centimetre square blocks. And I cannot tell you, it is so full of memories, this. And because they were their clothes, I actually, like this was a pair of trousers, I incorporated the pocket of the trousers. That's their prep school blazer badge. And that was a pair of trousers that Isabel had. That was, I'm pretty certain that was on the back side, that thing there. That was a dress that she wore to her Penelope's baptism. I mean, these are things that she had when she was a toddler. Again, little pockets. Look at the tiny little pocket. I mean, I think this was a dress, actually. I'm pretty certain that was a dress. It was a little pocket on the side. There's another pocket there going the other way. And I put them together in, well, hopefully you'll see in the main pictures. That was a t-shirt that had ruffles along the front. I included the ruffles. That was a motif that was stitched onto a knitted jumper, not a jumper that I'd made, one that was bought, and I unpicked it and took it off and put it on here. And there's a O'Neill surfing t-shirt that got chopped up. Oh, that was she had a pair of trousers, and that was fringing around the bottom of the trousers. That was like a cagoule type rain thing that, you know, when they fold up to themselves into a pocket and you can wear it like a bag. That was a cagoule, so it's a funny type of fabric. Yeah, so I mean, lots and lots of memories in this for me and for Isabel. They had in their bedroom at the cottage, they had Designers Guild curtains, and this was matching bed linen. So this was an old duvet cover that I cut up, but they had curtains and they had a wallpaper like that as well. I made so many of these squares that I had enough to actually do one circle of squares on the inside of the quilt as well. Yeah, this fabric is a Liberty poplin. That's the backing, and I had a maternity dress made of this fabric. So it seemed, when I was pregnant with Isabel, so it seemed appropriate. I had a bolt of it. There's another story behind why I ended up with a bolt of it, but I had a bolt of that, so that's the backing of her quilt. But as I said, so many squares that I made. They were a pair of pyjamas with little teddies on. You can see that I used my same technique of folding both sides in and stitching around. So that's my border is like the one that I've just shown. I've perfected that now. That's a pocket that just so happens to fall in. It was on a pair of shorts. It was on the border. That was a little coat, little motif on a coat. This was the coat. There's a swimming badge. So yeah, I mean, it for Isabel, and like I say, and for me, and there were times I used to go to a monkey music class. That was their t-shirt. Oh, that's her senior school blazer badge. In fact, I think it's the pocket off of the blazer. Yeah, but I just took off the blazer, threw the blazer away, and put the pocket on there. Fit in with the navy section. Lots of denim. So this is it. Yeah, this is Isabel's. It's quilted the same, much further apart this time. I'd learned that you didn't need to do it quite so close together, so it's diagonally quilted by hand. But there are places where, yeah, like here, these are the pyjamas. Look, the teddy bear pyjamas, I quilted around the teddies. So you can see I've stitched around the teddies. There's quite a lot of bits like that on here where I broke from doing just quilting diagonally and then broke off to actually quilt round. I've quilted round the rabbits as well there. I mean, I don't think she could even walk when she was wearing that outfit with those little rabbits on. I seem to remember her crawling around in that one. So yeah, that's Isabel's. It's massive, it's incredibly heavy, and now I'm going to drop it over there. So that's it, one more to go. And this is Penelope's. I did Penelope's differently. Still the same 10cm squares, but I did hers, where I did Isabel's in the crosses that I then pieced together. These were all done in the same way that I did that very first one, that I would put them all out to begin with and then pick them up very, very carefully, sew them together in stripes and then sew them together across. All of my quilts have been done like that. I don't know if that's how, maybe it is how it's done. So this one is all done with squares. Now they did share clothes. I've got two girls, so that is a hand-me-down. Penelope did have her own clothes as well. Oh, this is a great one. This was a pair of velvet trousers that she had, and on the knees it had these, it says peekaboo inside, I think, and a pair of eyes. Is it the right way up? Can't tell. Anyway, so any sort of detail like that were on the clothes I included in the quilt. A lot of these are specifically Penelope's. This one here, oh, that I should just tell you because that looks a bit weird. One of Penelope's really close friends, who she's still very close with today, had a t-shirt painting party when she was two maybe. Yeah, I bet she was 2, because this is the painting of a 2-year-old, and that is Penelope's t-shirt that she decorated at that party. We think that is probably Isabel, because Isabel had fair curly hair, so we think she probably painted her sister. So that got incorporated into the quilt. There I've signed and dated it, 2015, so I made this the following year. You can see also so many blocks that I had enough to put a ring around on the inside as well. Same method that I've now perfected of turning it and stitching it like that. So that's how I do my borders. Lots of denim. Penelope was a great trouser wearer, so oh yeah, that was a fab t-shirt that she had with owls on it. Swimming badge. Let me see if I can open it up a bit. So you can see hers is, yeah, I just did it differently. That's her badge from her blazer. She went to a different school for the last few years, different to Isabel. There'll be all sorts of pockets and things in this as well from garments. Oh, that's her blazer that she had like Isabel's when they were at the same place. Serving t-shirt. Same pyjamas, they had matching pyjamas. I mean, that piece there, I remember a friend of my mum's giving Penelope this outfit when she was born. So, you know, some of these things don't hold memories for the girls because she was a baby when she was wearing this. But some of them they will remember. Like this this here was a Gap shirt. Oh, what do you call it? Viella Viola shirt from Gap. Yeah, so this is my the bit of the curtain fabric there, bit of a detail from a t-shirt. That was a tie-dyed t-shirt. Yeah, actually I'm using the word t-shirt a lot, aren't I? So things like that, which is a tie-dyed t-shirt with some beads and things sewn on it, I used iron-on Vilene before I cut out the squares, because obviously you get a lot of distortion with a knit fabric, like a t-shirt material fabric would distort. So, and a lot of these I would have had to have done that too. I mean, this is a cotton knit fabric, like a t-shirt fabric, which is one of the reasons I suppose these are so heavy, is that, I mean, that's just a cotton. They were a pair of trousers, actually, fab pair of trousers. That would just be a piece of cotton. Whereas, oh, there's another little tiny, that was a pocket on her backside. Look how tiny it is. So they'll just be cotton. This is just cotton, but this is a t-shirt material. It's a ribbed fabric. So I will have put iron-on Vilene on the back of that to make sure that it didn't distort. Otherwise, you would end up without squares, wouldn't you? So there we go. I think that's it. Like I say, these very, very difficult things to show. Oh God, that's heavy. Because they are huge and very, very heavy. Oh gosh, look, that's so cute. Look at that little, that was a pair of trousers that she had when she was just toddling, with this little almost like a panda bear motif. Oh, anyway, it only means something. Oh, and this t-shirt, this was a great t-shirt, which had cowgirl. That was very Penelope type t-shirt. Those are a pair of shorts that she had, this wild pair here. I can see her now on a holiday wearing these shorts and a pair of red hunter boots, wellies. She was stylish even though she didn't know it. Right. Oh, I'm hot and bothered. It's very warm in this room. It's very sunny down that end of the room, which you can't see. It's a long one. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. I shouldn't say that because you like long ones. That's it. I am all done. Hopefully I've managed to include pictures of these things so that you can see, rather than me trying to show you something which is 10 foot square on my lap. Please contact me if you, Roseanne, if you can, if you've watched this episode, for me to get your winnings off to you. Please comment, let me know what you're doing as you watch, and I'll work it out. Old-fashioned way. I'll probably use a piece of pen and paper and get a tally going, and we'll see what's the most popular activity while you're watching me. And yeah, that's it. I don't know when I'll be back because yeah, it's my birthday next week, and then is Easter the week after? I think it might be. So I think I'm going to be possibly doing other things. I certainly you know, want to spend some time with my mum and dad, because it's Easter and because it's been my birthday, so I'll go down there for a while. I think Steve and I are going away, but only because it's been let slip rather than because I've been told. So yeah, I don't think I'll be back in 3 weeks. I think it'll be a bit longer. But until I am back, happy stitching, everybody. If you're in the UK, let's hope this weather holds for a little bit longer and we can enjoy the sunshine. And because it's so uplifting, the sunshine is so uplifting, even though it's made me very hot today. It's very good. I shall have a lot of tidying up to do, quite a bit of editing to do, I think. And I'll be back next time. Okay, bye.